Hello and welcome to Sit Still, Look Pretty. Today, we're serving up an episode that's got all the flavors, literally and metaphorically. It started with a spark and ended with a prata on a plate. Titled A Dream Served Hot 24/7, a Srisun Express story, it features someone who has not just built a supper spot, she has built a vision that is bold as it is warm.
Today, we are meeting none other than Jayanthi Elangoven, the proud founder of Srisun Express. She's not your average F&B boss, if I can say so myself, because once she was an insurance agent and today we know her as the founder of Srisun Express, open 24/7, halal certified, and serving all my local favorite food from Maggi Goreng to murtabak to prata. Even if it's 3 a.m. in the night, you can be very sure that Srisun is right there for you at any time to order what you like. I'm very, very excited to be speaking to her. She's not just the founder of Srisun, she's a mother of 3. And today we are going to uncover from her what it took to chase bigger dreams and even bigger lips.
Jayanthi, welcome to Sit Still, Look Pretty.
Hi, ladies.
The very first question that I have for you is, you started this at the age of 24. And before that, you were an insurance agent. So I want to ask you a very important question today, which is, what sparked the interest for Srisun Express?
Before getting into the business, I actually wanted to teach. So when I was much younger, I wanted to become a teacher. I used to give tuition. And when I was actually giving tuition, my uncle is actually an insurance agent. So he's really a very successful insurance agent. His name is Yu Kumar. So he was telling me, everyone's asking me, how come you do not have someone from your family in this line? So I said, okay, I'll try my hands on it. And I got into insurance and I liked it because I think I love freedom. So I like doing insurance because no one to tell me what to do, right? And during this point of time, I used to see business clients who were running restaurants. And at that point of time, a client came to me and said that there's a stall for takeover at Bedok. And I went back home and I told my mom, because my mom was telling me, my mom used to run canteens. So she used to have a canteen in my secondary school. And then she was saying she wanted to try running a retail shop or F&B shop outside in the coffee shop. So I told her, okay. And that opportunity came by. So I took that stall. We bought that stall over from my client and my mom was running it. So weekends I used to help her, and there was this once where we had to increase the prata price. And when we did, right, I realized people were complaining. We just increased it by 10 cents. From 70 cents, it went to 80 cents, and people were complaining. Then I realized, you know what? It's really the branding, right? It's because it's not branded well enough. People do not want to pay the 10 cents because people pay $8.90. I think it was $8.90, about $9 for 2 pieces of prata and chicken curry at Prata Wala. So then I was thinking it's the branding. And during my A-levels, I did business management of business. I loved it. I aced it. I got an A for that subject. And I think I really liked it. I think because it was about branding, it was about marketing. So that kind of got me going. And then I was telling myself, I'm just going to await another opportunity to either start a restaurant. And maybe 3 or 4 months down the road, I had another restaurant that was coming for a takeover at Kovan. I took it with the intention of rebranding it. So the stall was actually srisunprata.com. So I told myself I was going to rebrand this restaurant that I was going to take. And that's how the birth of Srisun Express came about.
The pricing thing that you spoke about is a very real thing, I feel, because even I think when I came back recently, I went to buy prata from the hawker center below. And then there was an entire fiasco going down there. And I was like, what is going on? So me and my mom went closer. And you know what was the issue?
Price?
Yeah. So what you're saying is a very real thing. But the moment you tweak the brand, you now make it into something that people are able to understand a bit more better, suddenly they are willing to pay.
Yes, It's what they perceive, right? I think a lot of people, it's the value. So then I realized, I said, why are people complaining? Why do we complain? And why are we so all right to pay higher prices? There are some restaurants where you can get an appam for $25. And then you go to Serangoon Road, you can, Ananda Bhawan, you get an appam at 5-ish. And then you go to a hawker center or coffee shop, you get an appam at $3. And it's all the same. I mean, the $3 appam might taste better. But why are people willing to pay $25? So it's the ambience, the place. It's how you make them feel, right? So I was trying to see. So if you ask me, right, did I choose prata? No. I would say prata chose me.
Aww.
Yeah, I would never say, I wouldn't say like, oh, I wanted to sell prata.
Yeah.
It's just the concept. It was a whole idea of branding, wanting to create something, right, that got me going.
I loved this prata segue because I think it leads perfectly into the next question, because I do think prata is actually very sacred here in Singapore because everybody has like a favorite spot, a go-to order, like perfect crispiness with like the perfect curry pairing. It's so well desired, right? And that's an intimidating scene to enter, and it's very bold. So what gave you the confidence to kind of throw your hat in the ring and say, yep, I'm going to start an eatery on my own?
I think for me, right, everything that I do, I like to be different. So I was trying to ask myself, like, how different can I be from a typical prata shop? So when we first started, I made sure at that point of time, that was in 2014, right? So it's about 11 years ago. What was trending? Milkshakes. And then I realized when I used to go to a restaurant, what did I like? Instead of having teh tarik served in a normal glass, I like that mason jar. And you hardly get these, right? So I realized it was the type of crockery we were using. It was the mason jar, it was the plates, it was the feel, even the menu. So I wanted everything to be different. And I only had 2 weeks, so I sat down from morning to night. I sat down, I had to like do up a menu, and I wanted to make sure we had a wide variety, which meant that if you've got maybe 5 of them who are coming to the restaurant, everyone has got something to have. They don't just have to have prata, right? So I wanted varieties of prata, thosai, North Indian. I wanted Western dishes. I wanted to make sure they were wowed by the menu. They were wowed by the t-shirt. They were wowed by the way we served, because that's what's going to leave a lasting impression. I always would say it's the place, the food, and then the service. And people need to think, like, why that place? I had my dad's friend who's a taxi driver. So he came once to the restaurant at Kovan. So if you ask me what was different in Kovan, it was just the food, the menu, the way we served it. But typically it looked like a prata shop. But it was cleaner and it looked different. You could tell the difference the moment you stepped into it. So my dad's friend walked in and he was like, I picked up a passenger from Toa Payoh and he wanted to come over to the Srisun Express at Kovan. And his question to him was, there's so many restaurants around the place. Why do you want to go to the one at Kovan? And he just said, the food is good, the place is good, and I feel good. So you see these things, when I hear these things, right, then you're doing something right? People are traveling all the way to come by.
I agree. It's almost like you're selling an experience rather than just food.
You are right.
And I feel like that is what builds an attachment to the eatery or
I totally
whatever.
agree with you.
Yeah.
I wanted that experience. I wanted them to feel good. I like hearing people say that, I've never seen this in the menu. My workers, so we use foreigners as well, right? At the point of time when I started, they used to ask me, what are you trying to do? I said, I want to make Srisun Express a household name. Like how everyone knows Sheng Siong, everyone knows NTUC. I want everyone to be like, oh, Srisun Express, I know, they are here. Oh, they're located here. That was what I wanted to do. And, I had my staff who was, they had to cross borders, right? So when they were clearing immigration, the officer actually looked at their work permit and said, oh, you're from Srisun Express. I love their mee goreng special. And that's an honor for me, right? Yeah, like you know my brand, you know what I have on the menu, and it made me feel good. So these little things keep me going.
I just want to add that when I think of Srisun Express, I always think of Maggi goreng, my favorite.
I'm a prata girly. This is why I mentioned prata so many times.
But now that you are talking about the experience, the ambience, everything that you're saying, like what goes beyond in my mind is the amount of hard work to actually make it what it is today. That is something that is crazy. That's something that I really want to talk to you about, because when you say F&B business, everybody knows that, especially in Singapore, the food local scene, it is so freaking competitive.
Yes.
It is something whereby there is no guarantee success to it. Yeah. So I want to talk about the early days when you started. Has there ever been a moment for you where you felt like, this is too tough? Like, I want to walk out of this, or anything that came close to that kind of a moment?
For sure. I just felt that maybe 3 weeks ago. Really? It was brutal. I had no prior experience in F&B, but I'm a person, right, who always believes in myself. So I know I can come up with SOPs. Like, when I told you I was creating the menu, right, I was in the kitchen, I was creating drinks, and it made me happy because the drink was nice and I know it was going to sell well. But it was brutal because I had to do everything myself. Menu planning I had to do, menu execution I had to do. You know my logo, you won't believe it. I was thinking, how do I come up with a logo? I'm bad at art. In school, right, I used to ask my sister to complete my art homework for me. I'm that bad at art. So I was thinking, what do I do? I'm not creative to that extent when it comes to drop. Then I told myself, I went to Google, I went to search. I came across this website called Zillion Designs. You just put up the contest. Everyone all over the world will take part. You just have to put a fee. So I remember at that point of time, my prize fee was $500. A girl won it. And when I was speaking to her, she was actually from a tiny village in Portugal. I think we had maybe about 200 entries. So I liked hers. I chose and I was communicating. But every time the revision of the logo came back, it took a while. So that annoyed me. Then I was like, why do you take so long to come back to me? Then she said, I'm sorry. I need to go to the city. I need to get access to a computer and I need to do these revisions for you.
Wow.
Yeah, but you see the quality of work, and that's the logo that I'm using now, you know? So these things I learned by myself. I didn't have anyone telling me what to do. And then the HR, I didn't have anyone, right? So I wanted to do it by myself. I had to call MOM, figure out how to put up a work permit application. So I was doing everything. HR, marketing, accounts, operations, everything, having meetings. And I was doing this when I had a daughter. My daughter, Dia, she was 2 years old. I'm blessed because I had my family. So I had my mom, my dad, my sister. They were all like taking turns to look after. So I was doing everything by myself. So can you imagine, once I'm up in the morning, I'll be sitting at the PC, I'm doing up the menu. Then I'm thinking who to employ. And you're always thinking, that's the problem when you're an entrepreneur. You have a lot of time, but you also need to know how to use your time because otherwise your time just gets eaten away with work. And when we first started, right, it was not crowded, the shop. People came. We started at Kovan. So Kovan is a HDB area. So it's a neighbourhood, right? You have more foot traffic. And at the place where I opened up, right, there was a high turnover. I think every 6 months or every 1 year, you had a prata shop that was coming in. So people would just walk past. They would just take a look. And then we had to get them in. And beside my stall was a very famous Thai restaurant, Nakhon. I don't know whether you've heard of it.
Right.
So Nakhon used to have like really long queues, right? Some of the crowd spilled over. But I still remember, you know, the owner, his name was Ben. He walked over to my mom and he said, this place is going to do well. Your daughter knows how to run a business. I was looking at him and thinking, oh my God, there's no crowd. Like, I mean, I won't say there's no crowd, but we were not doing enough to even break even. So every month I was at least having a loss of about 10 to 15K. And then after 6 months, I was telling myself, this can't go on, right? Like, what do I do? How do I get traffic in? Like, what do I do? And then I realized, okay, let's halal certify the outlet. Let's try to pull in the Muslim crowd because that's something that we didn't have. Even though we were not selling pork, I guess they were just not very confident with us. So I thought, okay, let's halal certify. Business improved a bit. And then it was still at a loss. I was at my wit's end and I told myself this is not going to continue. So I already had put up the word that the restaurant was up for sale. So we were having people who will just come by, take a look, and they'll sit to observe what kind of crowd you have. And then I remember I was sitting on the curb that evening. A staff of mine walked past and he said, are you letting go of the restaurant? I said, yeah, because I said, it's so difficult. He said, no, hold on for a while. You've done so much. Hold on to it. So I went back home that night. It was quite emotional because you've built something, it's like my baby, you know? So I was sitting down and I was really thinking. And then I decided, let me just try on for a while. And the next morning when I woke up, suddenly I was thinking, why don't I reach out to influencers who were then upcoming? So I went to Google, right? Then I came across Lady Iron Chef. And then I came across the Halal Food Blog. They only had 6,000 followers. Then I realized, hey, this might be what I want because we are targeting the Muslims and he's upcoming. So I tried to reach out. Again, didn't reply me for about 2 weeks. And because they were just upcoming, I think they were also not very serious. Right. But somehow I managed to get hold of them. They came by and they were also just coming up. They were just building their gram and their portfolio. They came by. They did a review. And you won't believe it. For the next 6 months, it was insane. It was insane. The shop was crowded. Yeah.
Wow. I feel it's the way halfway she's talking, I'm getting so emotional. Yeah. Another part of me is like so proud, you know, because I think at the end of the day, it's never easy to turn around, especially when it concerns money.
Yes.
That's the one that keeps us like running the next day. And when you're running at a loss, that really moved me because like when you're running at a loss to still hold on and be like, let me try this over again.
Yeah.
And when you were speaking about the influencer marketing also, it occurred to me that, it wasn't a thing back then.
No,
it's a
it
thing
wasn't
now.
now, yes.
But you kind of captured it like right at the moment that I guess it was going to take off.
Yes. I think at the point of time, what I wanted to know for myself is, right, that I wanted to make sure I had leave no stones unturned. I wanted to make sure that every stone, like I had tried everything. I didn't want to, like, at any point of time think like, I could have done that back then, or I shouldn't have let it go. I didn't want to have any regrets. So I told myself, it's my baby. Persevere, go on. Let's see what can happen. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I've already been having losses for 6 months. And what's the worst that can happen? Another month, right? Let me really sit and think, have I really explored every avenue, every solution? I think that was it.
The passion and the drive that I'm like, the energy that's coming this way.
I feel like I need to knock Jayanti's door from your phone. Hi. Could we speak for 5 minutes for some inspiration?
Yeah, like truly, but that's the word. I think it's very, very, like, it's very inspiring to hear. But I do want to, like, take it back in time a little bit. We have to talk about your Miss Vasantham era. I mean, the poise, the pageant, the power. Like, it's all, I mean, I have to give it to you. Yeah. Because it's not every day that you see a businesswoman who also knows how to serve looks, right? And from what I hear, you are still very much a fashion girly. So if you could share with us how that time in the spotlight shaped your presence and maybe even your approach to running a business?
To be very honest, right, I've got stage fright. Okay, so my mom, we had the first Miss Vasantham that came about, and then my mom was like, I think you should join. I remember when the auditions came up, my brother was admitted for pneumonia in the hospital, So I was just dressed in a denim dress when I went for the audition, and no one knew about it, not even my mom. So I just went for the auditions, and I remember the judges were like, I think you could have chosen a better footwear, because I was wearing like a denim jacket with like with I think a sandal, Then I just told them, I was not prepared. I just came by, and then I got selected. But I must tell you this, I've got stage fright, right? And I feel that I'm not really good with camera. Like, I can't. I think for that, you really need to have a lot of confidence. I don't have that. Like, you tell me to dress up confidently, you tell me to speak to someone confidently, you tell me to show up confidently, I can do that anytime. But in front of a camera, I'm just very shy. Every time, every episode came by, right, I would be like, okay, I shouldn't qualify. But I just kept qualifying, and I went through the finals. Even during the semi-finals, when I was on stage, right, I was like, don't call my name. And when they say Jayanthi, I was like, because it was more of a reality show. So I know you either have to, like, put up a drama or you have to dance, and I was not up for it. So if you ask me, right, that episode, I think that was because my mom told me go for it. And I think I had friends who always told me, I think you should try a pageant. But I think that one episode showed me that this was not something that I enjoyed, but it also showed me how in that uncomfortableness, right, I got myself to be comfortable. I think it was a very difficult journey, right? But you grow out of that difficult times. I won't say it was difficult, it was just very uncomfortable because you've got so many people staring at you. When you're on the stage, it's so cold with that lighting and all. It was not somewhere I wanted to be, but I showed up for myself because I'm in it already. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make sure I'm going to put up a great show, and I'm going to make sure that I'm happy with my performance. So yeah, that was my Miss Vasantham episode.
Now that we have covered like your insurance agent era, then came your pageant era, and then now your girl boss era, I would say a question for you is, I'm very sure like throughout this whole journey, there will be a million ups and then like a billion downs for sure. So I want to ask you this question today, whereby you're restricted to only one person, okay? You have to share with me someone who has been your silent cheerleader and someone who you lean on to for support throughout all these changing and evolving times in your life. Who would that be? And could you share a little bit about this person?
So my dad has always, I'm so sorry, this is going to be so emotional because I just lost my dad last year. He's always been like my silent supporter. You know, when I was talking about Miss Vasantham, right? So my dad, as traditional and as conservative he looks, right? Like everyone would think he's the strictest, but he's not. And I think I've got my way around my dad. You know, when my siblings used to get into trouble, I used to be the one who would always talk my dad out. So I would always say, I think that's because of the relationship I share with my dad. So he would come across as very conservative and strict, but he's not. He's the coolest father that I had. You know, my mom would be like, "Are you coming with me to Serangoon Road like that?" Just when I used to wear like a dress just above my knees. So I'll go to my dad and I'll be like, "Appa, this dress looks okay, right?" He'd be like, "Yeah, it looks okay."
So cool.
So I always used to. I know my way with him.
Yeah.
And he always just showed up, right? If you ask me now, right, how, it's so difficult for me to tell you, but he always showed up. You know, during Miss Vasantham, our Miss Vasantham was an episode where we need to wear swimsuit. We need to wear swimwear. At the point of time, I was thinking, oh my God, you're going to be on national TV. I need to wear a swimsuit. How am I going to break this to my dad or to my parents? I told him, every time, right, my dad was our sole breadwinner. So my dad was a prime mover driver and long working hours. He used to work on Sundays as well. So for Miss Vasantham, the rounds were always on a Sunday. Every Sunday, he would not tell me when he's coming. But I used to have like huge supporters, my friends and families. He used to sit there. And he used to sit there silently. Every time when we came back home, I used to ask him, how can I be better? What did I do? And he will tell me, no, you were good. You were great. So that episode where I had to wear a swimwear, right? I was thinking, oh, what am I going to tell him? What is he going to say? But when I told him, he didn't say anything. After that evening, he just told me that I did a good job. He said, oh, you were great. And I was just thinking, like, for my father to hold space for me, I'm sure it must have been difficult for him, but you know, because of the age, right? Yeah. But he was so cool about it. When I was running my business, right, it was tough. My dad was helping me out at Kovan when we first opened. He was doing the night shift. He'd come back and there's never a point of time, right? He would actually tell me I could have done something differently. He will just always silently stand by me. And the funny thing is, right, sometimes when I'm really having bad days or when I'm so tired, I come back home, I'll just be sitting at the table and sometimes he knows, all right, she's thinking, she's probably having some issues. He would not come straight. He would not ask me, oh, what's going on? What's wrong with you? Can I help you? He'll just linger around me. He'll get me a drink. He'll ask me if I want something. I love rambutans. He would probably have gotten me 2 or 3 kilo of rambutans and he'll say, have it. And then he'll just sit around. And somehow, right, him just being around me would just make me talk, would just make me open up. And then I'll just speak to him and he will just listen. At any point of time, he's never told me, right, that I think you can do better. I am sure he must have felt it, but he'll never tell me, I think you could do this better. He'll just, his way of supporting me is just silently standing by me. He always gave me the feeling that do whatever you need to. When you're going to come back home, I've got your back. Be it good or be it bad. And trust me, I was really quite notorious in Sec 1, Sec 2 because I used to skip school at the point of time because my dad was super strict. We were not allowed to go out. And even then, right, the way my dad handled me, it was amazing. Yeah.
I'm so sure that as much as you miss him, I think he misses you a ton. You know, it shows in your tears especially. And sending you all the love in the world.
Thank you so much. And I think, I'm a person who always says the universe has got my back. Now I don't just say the universe has got my back. I say universe and my appa has got my back.
I feel like I'm going to start crying. But such a wonderful, wonderful relationship you have. And I feel like it's a love that deserves to be shared. But let's move towards more greater things. We have to talk about your Serangoon Gardens revamp.
Oh, yes.
And as the person who attended the opening night, I have to say it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it really gives like a cafe meets Indian fusion vibe. And I'm like so living for it. So what inspired this like new revamp? And how are you balancing this modern vibe while still staying true to the roots of your menu?
As of late, right, the F&B industry in Singapore, it's really struggling. A lot of big brands have been closing because the profit margin is very low. Another one, your overheads has really increased and we are also struggling with manpower. So at this point of time, I was thinking, what should I do? Should I let go of the Serangoon Garden outlet? Should I revamp it? What should I do was what I was thinking. And then my husband and I, we work together now. Then we were thinking, and I was telling him, you know what, let's just revamp the place. He was saying, you know what, the place is good, location is good, right? Let's just spruce it up. And after a while, I was thinking, let's just breathe some new life into the restaurant. You know, it was it was good. It's doing well. You've built a brand. After popping up into Serangoon Garden, right, it built the brand, I think, because of the location and just that area. So I told myself, again, I'm going to give it a shot. So then I told myself, let me get an ID. And then I told the ID what I wanted. And she came up with the design and then we tweaked a bit and there you have it. And you know, when I showed closed ones, right? So you know, when the ID gave us the renders, right? If you now that you've been to the outlet, you would see we got the louver panels. Yes. It's in green. Yeah. Initially, the ID gave us brown. The brown was nice. It looked very classy and all. But then she gave gave me another render, which was green, right? And I told myself I wanted the green. People around me were a little bit hesitant. They were like, green, I don't think it looks nice. It looks very kampungish and all. I just told myself it's going to turn out well and I'll go ahead with it. And it turned out so well.
Yeah,
it turned out
So beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm so proud. I'm actually so proud of myself that I actually had the courage to take a step forward. I had the courage to invest that sort of money in the renovation because it at least costs about 250 grand for us to do up the whole place. But I'm so proud of it because the vibes, the energy, and what people feel towards it, it looks amazing.
When we look at Srisun, we look at it as a place where the doors never close, the delicious food never ends, but running a 24/7 eatery can be relentless. And I'm pretty sure there's a list of challenges that the public who come to eat there are not privy to. So would you be able to share with us one that's probably something that you've had to quietly power through that maybe most people don't even think about?
I think, right, this might be something a lot of entrepreneurs face. Because we are entrepreneurs, right, the switch is always on. You hardly get to turn it off. There are times, right, I've actually told my husband, you know what, I actually feel I should just quit everything. And I said, I know what I can bring to the table. I should just go and work for someone and then it's a 9 to 6 job, right? I don't come back home. I don't wake up thinking how to solve a problem. I don't have to go to bed thinking, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, I don't have a staff. The staff didn't turn up. How am I going to handle it? Oh, I've got a keyboard warrior who's actually complaining. What am I going to do? When you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business, especially I think in F&B, right? It's like a switch is just on. So it's so difficult, right? So I think over the years, I've grown to learn that I need to know how to actually manage my time, prioritize my time. So in the past, or even now, I find it difficult because a lot of times you find yourself, I can't say lonely, but you're alone handling things. Now I've got a team. I've got someone who handles HR. I've got someone who handles marketing. I've got someone who handles the operations, and I've got an amazing team because if not for these people, I wouldn't be able to have time that I take for myself or time with my children or my family. So I'm very grateful for them. But then again, as an entrepreneur, as a person who built this baby, right? Your vision's just different. You just think ahead and the problems that are going to come. So I think a lot of people don't see the struggles behind. People are like, oh, wow, it's crowded. I'm like, yeah, but like I told you earlier, it wasn't just overnight, right? Because we painstakingly have built this brand and you got a lot of restaurants that are coming up. So how do you then how do you differentiate yourself from them? What's going to be different? What's our unique selling point? So these are things that I constantly need to keep thinking. It's not one-off. It's like how Srisun Express was 10 years ago or 5 years ago is not how it is today. And how it's going to be today, it's not how it's going to be in 2 years' time, right? I always feel you need to keep evolving. I always want to be like the Apple brand. Yeah. So we're always like, okay, innovate. It needs to look like the Srisun Express, but something needs to be different. So what are we going to tweak? What are we going to do?
Yeah. When you look at the surface level, you don't get to, I guess, see the nuances that go into making it what it is. Yeah. But hats off to you.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I have to ask you the final question. But I think it's a solid question. It goes out to all our listeners who are currently sitting on a dream that perhaps they are too scared to take the first step. What would you like to tell them? Not as the woman who's a full-fledged businesswoman today, but as the woman who once said, let's just try.
All it takes is a spark or a wild dream. I think today, if you ask me, right, hey Jay, what's the reason for your success, right? I think it's because I love what I do. That's why I told you, I didn't choose Prata. I will say Prata chose me. It's the branding that got me hyped up. It's like creating a baby when, you guys come and say, oh my God, the food was amazing. Oh, this place is beautiful. Or, we feel this. These are the things that keep me going. And I think it's because I love what I do. And it all started with that small dream, that spark that, I think I should do this. And then the moment I created a baby, I think I didn't give up. So I think when you've got a dream, you need to sit down and think, follow your heart and work on it. And I must tell you, you're going to get, when you say it right, there are million successes, but trust me, behind the million successes, there are billion setbacks. But every time I had a setback, every time I felt like giving up, I did. I just told you 3 weeks ago, I was like, it's so tough. What am I going to do? But I think during these point of time, you take a step back, you think, you look at what you've built, you look at what's in front of you, and you always think, how can I make it better? How can I make it work? And then you have to believe in yourself and just keep going, because I always believe, right, like I always say, everything is figure outable. I always feel that, whenever we are going to a destination, right, you're going to start your car, you do not know how to go to the destination, but you just drive. And sometimes there are detours. Sometimes your car breaks down. Sometimes your fuel runs low. We do not stop, right? We go and do what we need to do. We just set them right, and then you just continue going. The duration taken might be longer, but eventually you'll reach the destination. So I think it's about not giving up. You'll be surprised at the right point of time, right? You'll just get your guardian angels helping you, sorting out and sending things your way. If you're working hard, right, the universe will never fail you. That's something that I always believe in.
It has been a true pleasure to have you here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have to say, I really, really enjoyed this interview. I enjoyed listening to you. So thank you so much for making
you.
that time today to spend it with us as well.
Thank you so much,
I think I definitely feel the boost to, I feel inspired to continue dreaming boldly and maybe also grab some lunch after this at Srisun. But let's move on to wrapping up this month's episode. But before we do, it's time for Quote of the Month, something to carry with us beyond this conversation. Take it away, Missy.
Sometimes in the wave of change, you will find your true direction. And I feel like it is so apt for this episode because of the fact that if you think about it, at the end of the day, change is the only constant, right?
That is very true.
What actually brings you to the next level is to just rise up, to chase after your dreams, see how far it goes, and if it all crumbles down, at least you tried.
Beautifully said. We will catch you guys with another guest and a new cup of tea in the next episode. This is Priya
And Priyanka.
on Sit Still, Look Pretty, cause girl, you're more than a quick gaze.
Never tell them that they will catch me in New York and they'll catch you in Singapore.
That's true. Look forward to the new format.